Hashtag new history. Hashtag new history. All right, good people, how y'all doing? This is Kelly Payton. Mr. Kelly is speaking with another edition of Hashtag New History. Well, today is a special edition. This is dedicated to my grandmother, Anna Belle Hunter, who today, I'm recording this right after I hung up the phone talking to her. She just turned 92 years young. What she would like to say is that she's the same age as Mickey Mouse. But I sit here and I reflect on the beauty that is Anna Belle Hunter. And I get very emotional, but I'm so blessed to be able to have my grandmother around for 92 years. It's a lot of people who did not get afforded that luxury. I am forever grateful to her. She was the woman who introduced me to my relationship with God. After my father was murdered, I was left a very angry, broken young man, and my grandmother introduced me to the church world, which ultimately set me on a path to who I am today. So I believe in giving people flowers while they are alive, not waiting till they're gone. So I just want to say to Anna Belle Hunter, thank you for being you. Thank you for being the epitome of love. Thank you for being the epitome of perseverance. Coming from a little girl from Oakland, Tennessee, to the big city of St. Louis, East St. Louis area, it was not easy. That transition, those changes. You raised 5 beautiful children, and they all set the tone to do great things in their lives. And a sense of family, a sense of strength is where we get that from. Those of us who might struggle with some of the path that you laid for us, we still know how to get back to it. And for that, I'm forever grateful. And you guys know I'm full of stories, so I'll give you a couple of Anna Belle stories. First thing was when I was a little boy, after my father was murdered. She pulled me very close. My mother and I had to move in. My mother and myself, my little brother, had to move in back in with my grandmother in the Johnny Shields projects in East St. Louis, Illinois. And I would tell her how I was going to murder the man that murdered my father. At 10 years old, I would describe it to her and tell her that I would kidnap the guy and tie him up and spray bug spray on a tennis ball and put it in his mouth, and slap him woke every time he would try to pass out, and cut him with razor blades and throw salt on him. Now, I know it's diabolical as that sounds. That's the kind of evil that was coursing through my veins at 10 years old. And my grandmother recognized that, and she said to me, "You're better than that. You have more in you than that." And she told me about the love of God, the love of Jesus. She told me about the love of family and why that's more important than anything that's evil. And she prayed for me, and she shifted my path in a different direction. I ultimately became a youth pastor over time. And even though to this moment I no longer deal with the orthodox aspect of religion or church, the foundation of who I am spiritually is in me because of my grandmother's introduction to me. And for that, I'm forever grateful. And also, so that was that story. And then also I had the privilege, maybe about 5 years ago now, maybe 2014, 2015, I had the privilege of interviewing her. I just got this notion to come over me to interview her, and I learned so much in that hour and a half, 2 hour exchange. And that exchange is what set the tone for what you are listening to now. What you're listening to now is a show called Hashtag New History. And the reason that I believe that history is important is because after I spoke with my grandmother, I give an example. So, and I'll tell on myself about this. So I used to be very judgmental to my family about why they stayed in the projects for so long in their lives, when these are some of the most intelligent, intuitive people I've ever met in my life, who encouraged me to go and do great things. I just didn't know or understand why they would stay. And I would stand on my judgment seat and say, why would they stay in the projects? Well, in reality, my grandmother explained to me how life was when she first came here from Oakland, Tennessee, how the projects wasn't the crime ridden, scary place to live that it turned into in the 80s and the 90s because of the crack epidemic. She said that this was a place where they didn't even lock doors. These were people that they worked together. They would cook meals, and different families would share meals together. They would share clothes, and one person would be, there's a tailor, and there was a butcher, and there was a person that did hair, and somebody that cut your hair. So it was a family oriented unit is what it was. And it was nothing more than a caveat to what she was used to, because she had 4 of the siblings, and she was used to that family type of environment. And the projects provided that, because people was working time. This is a time during the Industrial Revolution. This is before the St. Louis Arch was actually built. And this was during the Industrial Revolution time frame, when there was a lot of building happening and people was coming from all over the world to come to the gateway to the West to be able to work. And she was a part of all of that. And she felt a sense of calm and peace there. And it wasn't what I was born into. I was born in 1981. By the time I got there, it was a scary. It was scary to go and empty the garbage. It was scary to walk to the store, because there were drug addicts and drug dealers and so many other things happening during that time frame. So it wasn't what I suspected. And so when she told me, and the way she described it, y'all, was like you could see her pulling her memory, and it was beauty and love that was there in her energy. And that was something that changed me. And I realized that historically I had mismanaged the mindset and the view of my family. And how many more things or more people had I historically mismanaged without actually asking stories? So which put me on a path. I've always been a why guy, and why does this happen, and why does this happen this way and that way? However, to have the opportunity to be able to ask questions and interview people is something that is very important to me, because you can't deny what's said. Well, you can, but you can't deny when you have a conversation with a person and you read their energy and their body language and everything else. It's a special moment to be able to share conversation. And I shared that conversation with my grandmother, and it was beautiful. She even goes on to tell me how she played baseball barehanded. Baseball barehanded. She played first base barehanded, a girl. And now I understand the love for the St. Louis Cardinals that she has, that now I have, that now our family has. We are definitely diehard St. Louis Cardinals fans. Now I can see where that comes from. She came during the era of the Lou Brocks of the world, right? So how amazing is that my grandma got a chance to see, some of the most amazing baseball players in history, during her time. How amazing is that? How amazing is that, man? And then she also had a conversation with me about the education level. So she has a 6th grade education. And from the outside looking in, you would say, well, wow, that's terrible, right? Well, she dropped out of school in 6th grade to help her father on the farm. He was a sharecropper. And her job was to make sure that the people did what they said they were going to do. If they said they was going to pull 30 bushels of cotton, they was going to pull 30 bushels of cotton. If it was 30 bushels of tobacco, it was going to be 30 bushels of tobacco. So she didn't leave education or forsake it. She actually integrated it into her life where she had to help the family business. So she was a manager at 11, 12 years old, a logistical operations manager at 11 and 12 years old. Wow. And that logistical operations manager, do you know that's what I did when I was in the military? Logistical operations. My little brother, Karan, logistics. So it's amazing how these things just, I won't say come full circle, but they're all connected. And we have to respect where things connect. And so I want to say on this day, I love you, Anna Belle Hunter. I appreciate you. I'm giving you your flowers while you're here. I hope the fragrance makes you smile. I love you. I mean. Hashtag new history. Hashtag new history.